Hey everybody, it's me, Mr. No Bones. Welcome to my live stream. And today we are debuting, if you can see right down below, a nice little list of people who have decided that they have the abundance to compassionately contribute to my continued existence. And, my life is lived as a disabled artist, performer, teacher, and I have no income. So I have tried to transition into this new phase as a live streamer, content creator type, and to share with the world my thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs through multimedia, music, original music, musical production, DJing. We're going to do maybe like some fire spinning performances at some point in the future. But, the whole thing's going day by day. As one of my favorite teachers that I've ever trained under, Helson Gracie, he said that to me when he handed me my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt. Said, day by day, my friend, day by day. So, I really appreciate it if number one, you've made the effort to join me today, because today, instead of DJing, I'm going to be demonstrating and kind of showing and telling some training techniques that are both rehabilitative and they build skill sets that specifically for people like myself who are disabled, who suffer from varying degrees of reduced mobility. And being my personal situation is a little bit different than maybe some other disabled people, but also maybe not. That as a person with two chronic illnesses who act on different systems in the body and through different mechanics, different mechanisms, my personal level of disability or ability or capability, we can call it, it varies pretty broadly from day to day and even from minute to minute sometimes. And so, but pain is a constant friend of mine, as is loss of sensation. I've lost most of the feelings in the pads and gripping surfaces of both hands, as well as both feet, especially the first three fingers on both of my hands are basically dead. I can't really feel anything at all from them, except what I like to describe as like if you could feel, and some of you younger kids are not even going to understand what this is, but if you could feel TV static, you millennial and older, zennial Gen Xers will recognize this visual. And if you're too young to know what TV static is, go look it up on YouTube and take a history lesson on how the world of yesterday worked when we were primitive cavemen just firing everything off into the sky over incredibly weak radio signals. So, but I digress. You will have to please bear with me. I got a drink because something about live streaming, I don't know what it is, just makes my mouth just clam up. try not to subject you guys to all my various bodily function noises, but hey, it is what it is, right? So, I personally was blessed with, after I found out that I had multiple sclerosis and was told that I would be in a wheelchair in 2 years, that I realized, and through my own study, through my own research into just learning, education. Research is a dumb word, right? It's like, I researched this and I figured out the earth is flat. Yeah, you didn't research shit. But I made an attempt to educate myself on the mechanics of the disease, as well as all of the different ways and ideas and things. I tried a lot of different stuff, and if it didn't do me any, luckily I lived for about 10 years of my life with the opportunity to be a professional martial arts, movement, flow, and life skills instructor, teacher, coach, sensei at a martial arts dojo. Now, unfortunately, I lost that opportunity, or I should say, I walked away from that opportunity when I found out that my teachers, mentors, for that 10 years were members of the Buddhafield cult, high-ranking members, like they slept on the cult leader's couch, and so they both psychologically, emotionally, and financially exploited and abused me. And it is what it is, right? We gotta roll with the punches, as we say, right? And you gotta keep on swinging. And there's only one way to practice getting up. All right, are we back? All right, I guess we're back. Wow, that was weird. Well, thanks, live casting, for fucking up my train of thought. But anyway, over the course of 10 years and teaching thousands and thousands of students between ages of 3 to 78, I had the opportunity to live to train, to every day, nothing but eat, sleep, train, repeat. And I did that for a lot of years. And so I had the opportunity to really A/B test in a scientific fashion whether I felt like things were having a positive or any impact on my conditions. And so I personally, I have my own set of things that I continue to employ because I feel like they both have clinical information backing them, as well as my own A/B testing. So another thing that living a life of multidisciplinary movement, martial, tactical, and flow arts training afforded me was I got to study with a lot of really, really, really good teachers and a lot of really, really good disciplines. And then I got a chance to really, really, really zoom out and refilter that information through teaching it to people, right? And then applying it to my own life and incorporating it into my personal system. And I'll say I have a system, not a style. I believe that styles are, more the product of ego than anything. And really that systems, we can kind of detach that personal branding need from them and just say, hey, all of us have our own system, right? You have a system, I have a system of what we do to get through every day and to get done what we want to get done. And it just so happens that my system includes compensating for dozens and dozens of various physical ailments and disabilities that to the outside viewer may be hard to see in me. I took it as a compliment for a lot of years that people who knew me would say all the time, man, I forget that you're disabled. I forget that you have an illness. And I took that as a compliment for a long time, but then I also realized, man, it was enabling some internal ableism in me. And so instead of wearing that as a badge of honor and passing in the parlance of the LGBTQ world, letting people know, hey, you know what? I know I don't look sick. I know that you can't see me almost fall down 100 times a day. You can't see me fumble and fail to use my hands and my feet properly. You can't see me do a lot of things because they're happening inside of me. And part of my lifestyle became identify what I needed to compensate for, to create a training protocol to integrate skills into my life, as well as build new neural pathways in support of either, one of my neurologists told me that my superpower is that I try and I keep trying and I don't give up. And so when there is a loss of functionality in my central nervous system due to a blockage from scar tissue from a multiple sclerosis exacerbation, I have done really what up until, and when I was first accomplishing this maintaining of neuroplasticity and of regrowing neural tissue and of either busting through those plaques, those blockages in my brain, or rerouting and just building new neural pathways around them to reconnect myself to that skill and to that ability. That they said, yeah, you're the difference between you and everybody else is, put myself on do not disturb. Forgot to do that too. Man, I'm gonna get better at this live streaming thing at some point, I promise. But I've been told by 3 medical doctors at this point, yeah, you're a medical miracle. And really the difference is that I try, I keep trying, and I educate myself. I am my own physical therapist, and I try to still now these days, since I don't have a dojo and I don't have thousands of students and I don't have the external infrastructure regimenting my actions right? I don't have the opportunity to just live to train and train to live. And I want to say, remember, never work out, always train. Okay? Because we're training for life. We're training for doing this thing that we do, right? So, bodily functions. I need to remember to orient my cup properly so that y'all can see. Lord Smudge, Black Lives Matter, Fight the Power, Anti-Fascist Action, over here. Oh yeah. You know, I'm a little bit of a leftist, but this is not a leftist stream. This is not a political stream. You can be of whatever political orientation that you feel is right, as long as you kind of fundamentally agree that we're trying to have a fucking society here, right? And so, yeah, man, I believe in making the attempt to extend universal compassion, but at the same time, I also believe punch a Nazi, kick a bigot, burn the KKK. You know, some people who, you know, I'm not going to get into it. Anyway, movement. Movement is medicine. And you're going to hear this a lot from a lot of different teachers. You know, some of the stuff that you're going to see me employ today, I learned through my study under Gene Smithson in Tai Chi and Russian Sistema. I learned some of this through the kind of semi-related Z Health movement systems, but also through my time as a CrossFit instructor and enthusiast, which, caveat, I would say, as a former CrossFit coach, don't do CrossFit. It's bad for you. There's a lot of stuff in it that's good for you. CrossFit as a methodology and as a practical app, the way it's done is for another discussion. But bringing together many movement, flow, meditation, martial, tactical arts systems, right? I've tried my very best to distill down what I feel has been applicable and useful to me, and has, you know, I also look for as much clinical research and backing as I can. For, you know, like I like to say, I will tell you what I know, and I'll back it up with what I believe, and I will tell you that we always, all of us, invariably, will, in an infinite fractal universe, in an infinite fractal reality, I should say, the number of things that we don't know will always outnumber the things that we do know. So, pays to know what you don't know, right? To know that you don't know, so that we can continue to learn and we continue to educate ourselves. So, I'm going to share with you today some training protocols that you can do as PT and look at, examine, incorporating them into your movement patterns. And that's kind of this idea of training, because we train in pursuit of a goal, right? And so if your goal is to have better mobility, to get up and down off the ground better, to get in and out of bed better, to just try as hard as you can to retain your functionality or regain your functionality. These are ways that you can practice movements that when you practice them, you'll be strengthening lots of things neurologically and biomechanically, you know, in your muscles and nerves and whatnot. But touching back on movement is medicine, Kelly Starrett is another big influence on my training. See, my fucking video's frozen again. I sure hope that it's not frozen on the stream. Let me see what the stream looks like. Yeah, that shit's frozen too. Fuck, man. What is going on with this? I'm sorry, y'all. It's the first time these cameras have done this, but my cameras have all started fucking acting weird, flickering and shit. So fuck, bear with me. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna try to keep this thing rolling. But Kelly Starrett taught me a lot about being a supple leopard and being also, you know, from my capoeira Angola teacher, Etienne, you know, he said we don't want to have a braced core, you know, and Kelly Starrett says the same thing. We don't want to brace our core, but we also don't want to have too relaxed a core. You know, people who look shallowly at Russian Sistema a lot of times will kind of shun and shy away from this idea of relaxation, and you know, that idea of being relaxed all the time is a misnomer. We want to have selective tension, and we want to have an active, ready, supple core. That's it's not tense, it's not completely relaxed, it's right in the middle. Like all things, we want to find that balance. So some things to keep in mind as we're doing this work today, this training today. Try to keep your spine as straight and long as possible, and that doesn't mean rigid and straight up and down, but just in a natural, you know, you should have that nice lumbar curve and everything. Do your best to bend and move and hinge at your hip joints and not your sacrum, not your spine. Don't bend your spine. Don't kind of cup your body. Stay tall. Try to breathe in and feel like your body has a big balloon in the middle, and you have circus balloons, you know, clown tie-in balloons, long, that extend out into your limbs. So when we breathe, we try to fill our whole body. When we exhale, we let the elasticity in our body just kind of squeeze the air out of us. We want to try to synchronize breath and movement. So in places in our movement cycle, when we're getting bigger, we want to breathe in. Places in our movement cycle where we're getting smaller, we want to breathe out. Now, if you're not familiar with these concepts, don't overthink it. If this is all brand new to you, just start at the ground floor. Just follow along. Try to get the gist of what I'm saying. Practice a little bit, and I really think that these are, and you know, I've over the years worked with people with varying degrees of disability, and you know, due to age, due to illness, due to chronic conditions or acute conditions, and I think that, you know, my system, and this is a joke, right? Okay, because remember I said styles are about ego, right? And so to be completely as unegotistical as possible with what I call my system, I have to put my name in it. That's the joke. So it's Sensei Tommy's system for the prevention and or acceleration of heat death of the universe. So we just want to be the best, well lubricated, functional, and as loving it as possible cog in this giant infinite machine, this infinite fractal machine that we're all a part of, that's in working order, perfect working order, no matter how you personally identify with your current experience or what labels you place on your past experiences, right? Good or bad don't exist. The only thing that exists are harmony and dissonance in the waves and the frequencies of energy and matter. So, I believe the one choice we get in this life is love it or hate it. And I am inclined to believe that to be a better part of this infinite fractal machine, we should probably love it, right? Because it feels better when we love it. And so I'm going to try not to ramble anymore. I'm going to do my best to keep it concise. I got a mic down on the ground. You'll be able to see me and hear me down there talking. I'm going to turn this mic off so that it's not picking up so much of the ambient house noise and stuff. I'm also going to turn on some background music. But you should be able to hear me. I'll check my levels and whatnot. But thank you for joining me once again. I am Mr. No Bones. This is the Mr. No Bones show, program, live stream. I don't know. You can hit me up any day of the week, any hour of the day at mrnobones.com. Says it right there on the screen. And if you are blessed with abundance and the ability to compassionately support my continued cost of living, which I am lucky. I am unlike many disabled people in our world today. I have a family, both blended and blood, who are able to support me, provide me with a home to live in, food to eat, I'm safe, I'm fed, but also I have a lot of medical bills. I am going through an intense, protracted legal battle with my ex-wife to try to regain and exercise my custody rights of my 9-year-old, just about to be 10-year-old in 6 days. And I'm probably not going to, I haven't seen or heard him hardly at all for 4 months. My ex has moved him to an undisclosed location and held him there without notifying that location to me or the courts. So, she physically assaulted me in front of him on my porch on Christmas. So I have a legal battle that I am having to fight myself. I'm employing a nonprofit legal service, so I'm not represented by a lawyer. I have to represent myself. I just only have the benefit of lawyers that I can ask questions to, who can draw up legal documents for me to represent myself in court. And I want to do art. I want to continue to do this thing, be better at this thing, have better presentation, have better equipment, have the opportunity to provide more varied artistic output and performance for you guys to enjoy as well. And if you in any way can contribute to my costs of living, and all the costs of being that it takes for me to exist, just go to mrnobones.com/support, and it's all right there. Very easy. You can make a one-time donation through PayPal or through my Cash App. You can you can sign up on my GoFundMe and donate if you want to put specifically into my legal challenges bucket, or I will be I would say the best way to support me in my continued desire to live and all that is to go to my Patreon and sign up. I have many levels of membership that you can join Team No Bones, and as low as just $5 a month. And I know that at least a percentage of people who will see this stream would not even notice if every month $5 disappeared out of your pocket. But I would notice it very distinctly landing in my pocket. And, to show my gratitude, I will try to not only give you shout outs on my live stream, but as you can see right here, nice, beautiful at the bottom of your screen, I have a new little dono scroll. And every time somebody donates me any dollar amount, you get a constant shout out rolling on my screen of how much I care. How much I genuinely appreciate your contributing to my continued existence. Right now, I only have one Patreon, but man, I'm telling you, every little bit helps. And that's my spiel. I'm going to head down here to the flow. On the flow. On the flow. But, you'll be able to see me and hear me down there. And I'm going to turn on a little bit of background music. Just so you're not like having to listen to me grunt and groan and hearing my feet on the floor and shit. But yeah, let's do this. This is the first time of doing it this way. Not gonna lie, little nervous. Had some bumpy starts. Had to reschedule. Just figured out how to use the scheduling function on YouTube. And wow, amazing. I had 2 viewers as soon as the stream started. Y'all were sitting, waiting for me. And god damn, I appreciate it. Because I'm not going to lie to you guys, it's hard to get out of bed every day. It's hard to get out of bed every day. And not just on a practical, functional level, but on a like, wow, this fucking sucks level, But I am fortunate that I was born with a little voice in my head that my pops lacked because, he invented Supercross. An actual like sport, but when he couldn't accept that he was past his prime, he rested his chin on a barrel of a 12 gauge, y'all, and he pushed the button. But I got him in there because pops, I'm you. It's funny how that go. Mom's you too. Could drink slow. Said the in the immortal words of LP. But I have a little voice in there that says, don't do it. And I'm trying to live for myself so that I can live for my son and so that I can live for all the people who love and care and support me. And I give you my word. Not going to take the easy way out, fella. And you be taking the easy way out, funny, because they won't be taking that baloney in the bullpen. Pardon self as I discuss this. Bust this. Like a cold milk from out the toilet. 2 batteries, some Brillo, and some foil. He boil it. That's Meatwad from the Danger Doom album. So, without further ado, let's try this out, okay? I got my phone down here on the ground, so I'm going to be periodically peeking at the chat. If you want to try to talk to me, I can talk back to you. And YouTube, I finally decided, fuck trying to split off to multiple platforms at once. I'm just going to go to YouTube and use Twitch as a backup or something. But, Twitch, my Twitch numbers fell off a few months ago and never came back. So, we're looking at YouTube at this point. I finally figured out how to DJ on YouTube without, suffering too much consequences. But again, since I'm on YouTube And a lot of my content contains copyrighted material just due to the nature of being a DJ, right? I can't earn monetization from my videos, so no matter how many clicks or views I get, I get no moolah, I get no scratch. So head on over to mrnobones.com/support. Help me out. I'd really love it, and I really love you no matter what. Unless you're a Nazi. Fuck Nazis. Now I'm going to turn this main mic down, and I'm going to really hope I don't forget to turn it back up. Mic and checking. Cool. You can hear me through this. You can see me through that. That should be all right. Okay. Let's get this a little closer. All right. So, oh, one last thing. Donos. I do want to shout out in my last stream Kim Tiffany with an incredibly kind $50 donation. The stream before that, Chris Hall, again, an incredibly kind $50 donation. And guys, that's I know that's money out of your pocket. Hold on, I'm going to turn this mic up a little bit. Just checking my mix here. All right. Check. All right. Thank you for bearing with the live nature of this broadcast. If you have a question, or if you have any difficulties, anything going on with the stream, you want to let me know, please speak up in the live YouTube chat. It's running, and I have it here, deedly ding, so that when I talk to the mic, I can see my phone as well. All right, so one of my favorite teachers over the years, Mr. Gene Smithson, who is honestly one of the best martial artists who I have had the pleasure to know or work with, and is a remarkable human being. He was in a freak training accident and was shot 6 times, and after being shot, he's laying on the ground having tampons stuffed in the holes in his body by a fucking combat medic who just happened to be there. And he said to all of the people standing around, who are clearly very, very disturbed by what was going on, that, hey, this is a really good time for us to work on our breathing. So it's always a really good time to work on your breathing, is the moral of that story. But Gene told me that the ground is a very honest partner. And you know what that means is when we're working with a person, they may have either a little bit too much ego or a little bit too much compassion, right? And they may be trying to take it too easy on you, or go too hard on you, right? But the ground is never going to change the way that it interacts with you. It's always going to be a constant. Now, I have some nice mats here to work on. If you lack the mats, carpet will work. None of this is high impact. We're not going to be doing no judo break falls or anything. But, having a softer surface, if you're not versed and naturalized with the ability to kind of guard the hard impact points of your body that tend to hit the ground. But that is another element and skill that's kind of incorporated into this way of training and this way of thinking. So what we want to do is establish a relationship with the ground where us and the ground, we get along, we understand each other, and I'm not scared of the ground. There is only one way to practice getting up, and that's to fall down, or to gracefully glide and guide yourself to the ground. And these are all things that we can look at, we can study more deeply as we move forward. But I'm going to start us off. We're going to look at, first I'm just sitting, and posturally, one of the visualizations that we try to work on is 3 stacked cups of water, like little teacups, and then one is a little smaller, the next one is a little smaller, and they all 3 have water in them, and one's your head, one's your shoulder girdle, and one's your hip girdle. Need a drink. And when we're trying to be vertical and stay vertical, posturally, as we change shape, if we can try to keep the water in those cups, it will help us to maintain good biomechanical efficiency through stacking. Our bones, our skeleton creates a frame that should, when arranged properly, it should do most of the work of carrying our weight. And a lot of repetitive stress injury that we see in people comes from bad movement patterns. It's not necessarily repetitive stress, just doing the same thing over and over. It's doing the same thing over and over with poor biomechanics. So a properly aligned skeleton then shifts the load from and then good movement habits, good biomechanics, shifts the load from our I should say, properly carries the load in our skeleton primarily, our major muscle groups secondarily, and then that leaves our minor muscle groups, our stabilizer muscles, to do the work of fine motor skills and fine motor correction. But since we don't really learn good biomechanics typically, we end up with movement patterns that shift the brunt of the load bearing work into our minor muscle groups, our small stabilizer muscle groups. And so this is where we see a lot of repetitive stress injuries and just bad movement is bad medicine and good movement is good medicine. A really cool fact that I learned and then tested over time is that, when I first learned about my nervous system, I thought that there were one set of nerves, your peripheral nervous system, that travels out from your central nervous system. That was your motor control nerves. And then a second set that were your sensory information transmission system. But no, actually, motor control impulses and sensory data, input and output, all travel on the same channels. And so when we're hurting, traditional medical thinking, as well as kind of our instinctive sheltering response, is to not use that system so that it can heal, to isolate and to immobilize so that it can heal. Now, in a lot of cases, broken bones and whatnot, of course, we got to immobilize it so it can set properly so that we can then rebuild the mobility and functionality in that system. But with a lot of our repetitive stress, pain, a lot of our chronic pain, even if it was due to an acute injury, can be mitigated in the moment by movement, can be healed over time through good movement patterns and myofascial release work, which, this is another subject for another day. And then in the end, after you've healed as much of the damage as possible, you then begin the work of integrating and compensating, using these integrated movement patterns to create compensatory movement patterns that are autopilot. They're second nature. You don't have to think about it, right? So that's enough talking. Let me move a little bit. I'm going to work here on first the shin box concept. Just adjust that mic a little bitty ditty. You still hear me right? Yeah, okay. So the shin box is created when we sit with our feet roughly in front of our hips. With our feet roughly in front of our hips. I'm going to turn the background music down just a little bit. All right, that should be better. Yeah. Okay. So this is I'm also going to employ, part of my system is a concept that I want to teach in the future, and I will be doing so, called body geometry, and using the way that your own body fits together and works together and just kind of like fits your body parts and systems and movement patterns, you're going to see natural alignment and things that kind of click into each other like puzzle pieces. And I call this body geometry. I started studying this when I was learning yoga and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but in this nice seated position. You know, I'm keeping my shoulders rolled back, my spine long, sitting on my sit bones, feet flat on the ground, and I'm just kind of hugging outside of my shins. And this is helping me to support the integrity of my spine and of my you know, when we align the spine properly, and then we align the joints properly, and then stabilize them properly, but keeping them supple and not braced, we're encouraging circulation of blood, lymph, of synovial fluid, and etc. Right? The opening up the channels as much as possible in the joints to allow circulation. And then when we work the joints, if they've been jammed, or, you know, work the system if it's been damaged, we're gonna break down those tissues and then provide them with fresh, healing, moisture, blood, etc. Right? Okay, so the basic shin box concept is, if I'm sitting here, and if you're not hypermobile like me, which, you know, again, don't use me as a model of what you should be able to accomplish movement wise. Do what you can do. I'm not always the best guideline, because, I mean, you can see, look at my elbows bending backwards. I'm hypermobile. It's part of my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And funnily, how I earned my nickname, Mr. No Bones. So this is a good alternative to start from here, this study point. But again, notice I'm not letting my lower back sag out. I'm trying to maintain good postural integrity, okay? And so our shin box, with our feet roughly at, our knees roughly at 90 degrees, we're going to, I'm going to turn that up just a little bit more. I feel like you can't hear me probably. And if you're struggling to hear me, please type it in the chat and say so, because I don't have my monitors on. So we're here, and if I let my knees both just fall naturally to one side, they fall into this boxed position. And this we'll see 90 and 90 approximately. And now I'm able to just have my weight on one arm and the other arm free to help me out. To move back to the middle, I may need a little bit of momentum to help me. So I can kind of swing my arm and feel this naturally, getting my hips going, and back to this position. And then I can just let them fall naturally to the other side. Now I'm leaning on this arm's free, da-da-da-da-da, right? Now there's everything that I'm going to teach today is going to branch through just real rudimentary practical movement into self-defense applications, into tactical fighting movements, as well as martial arts sparring, mixed martial arts where we have to go up and down, etc., etc. So we're here, back to the middle, and we're here. These are real easy. I can put both hands on the ground here. This gives me a nice cushion for the pushing, right? Womp womp. Turn a little bit. You guys can see I'm here. And in this position, my chest is, my hips are naturally rotating into this position. My heart is facing my knee. And just this by itself, as an exercise, this good for our hips, good for our knees, good for our ankles, all that good mobility shit. And a naturally occurring position pretty easily. If I'm sitting here, right? Pretty easy to just twist a little bit, pull my knees to me, or go one at a time. 1, 2. And again, I'm doing some work, but by maintaining elasticity through the joints, you let your body do the work for you, if that makes sense, rather than like effort. It's just kind of automatic. So here to here to here to here. Extend it, lean to the other side. I'm just leaning, bringing my knees to me. Now, if I want to lay down from this position, excuse me, it's a couple of ways we can think about accomplishing this. If your range of motion is good, you don't have a lot of restrictive sticky tissues in your core or your hips, should be pretty simple to lower your heart down to your knee. And just think about laying your heart on your knee and then coming back up. And I'm using my hands to help me get back up, as well as, my back muscles, keeping your core, everything. If I maintain spinal integrity, then elasticity in your posterior chain is naturally helping you get up. But I can push this knee into the ground, right? If I want to lift my hands up, you'll feel you have to push this knee down into the ground, right? So just let your heart kiss your knee. And now we're going to go to the other side, and you can choose either leaving them bent to go to the other side, or straightening. Hands down. And what you'll notice here is we're doing a mobility assisted modified push-up. So right there, integration of solid biomechanics that we can rep them out, get better at it. And the leg here gives me a really direct ability to vary how much work my arms are doing. So if my arms are very weak, but I still want to practice these push-ups, I can do most of the work with my leg, but I can also really try to lean into my arms and let my arms do more of this work. We can also work on a little bit more springy and pushing away, right? Always gentle at first, and the more broken you are, like me, the more gentle you should be initially. And through these movements, we can both build functionality and durability. And my Ehlers-Danlos, even though it gives me this awesome range of motion and hypermobility, it's also cause the rapid degeneration. My connective tissues age at twice the rate they should. So I'm 41, but all of the connective tissue in my body, which if you weren't aware, when one part of your body is connected to another part of your body, it uses connective tissue, right? So my connective tissue is not great. And so even though for many years impact was my domain, I'm good at taking hits. I'm good at absorbing impact and making it happen, keeping it going. At the same time, as I age faster and faster, I get less and less acclimated to impact, right? So low impact. We disabled people know how important that low impact work is. Your age advanced humans as well. So what I want you guys to work on, or to finish my thought, you can work on generating a little bit of momentum by pushing yourself, pushing away the ground. Okay? Now, the earth weighs a lot, so you're not going to be able to push the earth away from you, but you can push yourself away from the earth because you weigh considerably less than the earth does. And I'm just like checking my shots here because that seems like it looks really dumb. Anyway, doing this on the fly, you guys. Thanks for bearing with me. I will get better at this live streaming shit. And the more that you log on and follow me and support me through mrnobones.com/support, the more I can do this and the better I'll get at it. You know, you can help me continue to grow as a teacher and as a person, as well as, you know, eat food and go to the doctor. So, heart kisses the knee. We can push away with a little bit of momentum to get us where we're going. Now, I'm going to bring up another little minor movement point here. You'll see me. I don't like keeping my feet locked in this real kind of like unnatural hinge position, which you'll see, you know, if I do, that box is always going to be perfect-ish, 90-90, right? But reality, things got to move, right? And so you'll see I like to swing my feet. I bring my feet together in the middle of my turn, which allows me to kind of balance on my tailbone, on my sit bone a little bit, and continue that momentum and use it to continue the turn. So I'm just going to demonstrate that real quick. As I come up, I go to here. Kind of more like a butterfly position. Hey, and you know what? If you've done any kind of physical training, you probably recognize this butterfly position, right? And then sliding my foot away as I continue my Russian twist. Hey, Russian twist. This is an exercise, right? You can hold. Where's my little friend? I'll use this guy. No, it's too heavy. Show a little more realistic weight for my disabled folks. You know, we know this is a core building exercise, and we know this as a stretching mobilization exercise, right? I'm punching my elbow back to initiate the twist. Bring my hands together, right? So, incorporation, bringing things together. That's a holistic. I refer to my system as a holistic system for both physical health and function, as well as, you know, heart, mind, and gut, I say. Physical, emotional, psychological. We have to have all... God, my feet are dirty. Ugh. When we have mind, heart, and gut in alignment, both physically and philosophically, right? Contextually. No, that's not the word. Anyway, we're going to create a circuit from heaven to earth. And I like to visualize this like I'm sitting in a blue beam, like a Marvel movie, that brings me into connection with heaven and earth. Whatever your belief system is. In Chinese medicine, they say heaven chi, earth chi. I would say religiously agnostic, spiritually, I know enough to know how much I don't know. And so I try not to say anything with certainty, but I do know that the universe exists, that we have as consciousnesses the innate ability to recognize harmony and dissonance, and I would say a good portion of us are calibrated internally to move towards harmony and away from dissonance. Anyway, I'm getting off track, lost my train of thought a little bit. Bear with me. Thank you for bearing with me. So, now incorporating this little bit of momentum building, rush and twist movement to go to here. And then hands down, kiss the floor. Mwah! Bring your knee to your heart. Now we're just going to explore a couple of the different ways to accomplish this. So I like to go here, then here. This is my personal variation on how to use this concept. The traditional hinged feet version. None is good, none is better, none is worse. We're all built from the same parts with a remarkable degree of variation, right? So, adaptive, this is what they called in CrossFit the concept of adaptive athletics, and I know that's not just a CrossFit thing. That's a disabled sports thing, Special Olympics, etc. So we also have the straightened, kind of more natural for a lot of people, just straightening the legs. You'll excuse me for my gratuitous use of sound effects. I find that sound effects always make training more fun for me. And that's really all I care about, is if I'm having fun. Fuck you. No, you're cool. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you. I'm out. 5 points in chat to anybody who can name that movie. So, I want you guys to rep this out for a second, okay? Just spend a little bit of time exploring this concept of I'm sitting, going from just a comfortable cross-legged sit, another natural, this is kind of a defensive sitting posture from tactical training, indoor shin box, right? And playing with, you know what? Let's not fuck with crossed feet right now. Let's go with butterfly, right? I don't want to overload you. I'm giving you too much information, which is a big problem of mine as a teacher. One of my sayings for myself is shut up, sensei. People are trying to learn the lessons that you're trying to teach them. Little variant. Shut up, sensei. You're trying to learn the lessons that you need to learn. Butterfly legs, right? Reached out in the direction that we want to go. And this really gives me a nice ability to turn and then push with this leg a little bit to get me where I want to go. Hands down, knee to heart. Come back up. Maybe when you transition from side to side, first just rep out the same way until you feel comfortable with that conceptually, right? This kind of just basic standard way. And then we looked at doing it with a little bit more spin and momentum. So pushing up to give yourself a little bit of action, a little bit of juice here, or straightening and bending. Boop, straightening and bending. Boop. Okay. Work on that, please, for just a moment. Aw, man, I lost a viewer. That's a fucking bummer. Please come back. I love you. I miss you. I need you. Work on that. I'm going to refill my drink. BRB. Okay. So now I want to kind of introduce a concept, a rule, and I want you to take every rule that I say with a grain of salt, because every rule that I tell you at any point in time, if you watch me, you're going to see me break that rule. Because rules are there to help us with reps, and reps are there to help us build muscle memory. Okay? And reps are meant, hey, you came back. Thank you. Neat. Welcome back. I appreciate it. Reps are there to help us build the ability to utilize our movement without having to think about it. I need to not look at the fucking mic. The camera is not mounted in the microphone. Sensei, come on, work on this. Also, Sensei, fewer ums and likes. Come on. Fewer you knows also. A lot of people mistake repetition and rules for the final product, right? They miss the forest for the trees. reps are there to get the movement in your body as automatic, as just without having to think about it. Like, you don't have to think about walking. You don't have to think about signing your signature. It's muscle memory. And we want to have these good biomechanical concepts that we rep in training with as strict adherence to the rules as is allowable. Because then once you have repped something out enough where it becomes a skill instead of an action, something that you can do unconsciously instead of having to make a conscious decision. We martial artists know that, if you've only repped something enough times to where you feel like you know it, but you have to think about doing it, anytime in live sparring, in live martial arts play with a partner, anytime that you have to think about what you're doing, you're already 2 steps behind in the chess match. So we're working on embedding these as good as quality and adherence to these biomechanical rules as possible. We want to embed that into our bodies so that when we need to use it, when it becomes an actual necessity of life, that you're not behind the game. You're not behind the gun. I'm probably saying that one wrong. It doesn't sound right. In front of the gun? I don't know. But it'll be too late. Okay? And just super quick story, just to illustrate this point. When I started training Kung Fu when I was 15. And we trained in a single unit storage building in a industrial commercial strip mall kind of thing. And so we had no air conditioning. We had a roll-up garage door, and we had no mats. We just had industrial carpeting that it's shit's like that thin. It provides no cushioning whatsoever. And one of the first things that you learn is rolling, how to do a roll, how to do a forward roll, how to do a backward roll, and then how to do a dive roll, how to roll from standing. And outside of ninja assassinations and parkour, you're not going to do a lot of dive front rolling in your life, right? Like, you probably have had very few opportunities to bust a perfect running dive roll, like through a pane of glass, or like maybe through a ring of fire or something. Fairly infrequent in my experience. But I was the manager of a movie theater in Alvin, Texas, the Alvin Premiere 5. Now it's the Alvin something 4. They finally let Projector 5 die, which is good. That was a very, very bad, but anyway. See, I fucking digress. Way too much. Too many tangents. But we were doing midnight showings of, stuff like, we did Rocky Horror, we did heavy metal, we did, we would do midnight showings of something special and cool. And One time I'm standing in the very back of the theater because, I was the projectionist and the manager. I'm standing at the back of the theater watching whatever heavy, I think it was heavy metal, and all of a sudden, every light, every projector, everything in the whole house goes down, and I knew that due to our lax owners, right? There was not a padlock on the master breaker, the master kill switch. There was a big fucking lever on the back of the movie theater that it said Acme, in big block letters on the side, that if you pulled it, turned off the whole movie theater. And because we had to turn that off at night, basically. That was kind of the shutdown rule. That's why I knew that. But some fucking hoodlum, Alvin kid pulled that lever and ran. And I, for whatever reason, bust in, adrenaline dump, out the door of the theater, through the lobby, boom, out the door of the building, out, heading, there's a sidewalk, and then it steps down, the play, there's the no parking zone with all of the yellow lines right in front, parking lot. I'm going to go that way around to the back to try to, initially, my thought is, catch the guy. Like, what are we going to do, beat up a 12-year-old? But also to get there and turn the fucking movie on as quickly as possible. Because, any of us in the entertainment industry know that dead air, right? Dead air is the enemy. So I'm at a full run, absolute fucking da 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 da, $6 million man, da 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 da. Right. Anyway, full athletic run, right? And I push off of the edge of the raised sidewalks, about a foot and a half drop. Push off, stride majestically, and my foot comes down, and the tennis shoes I'm wearing, if you have ever worn shoes, you may have encountered this. There are some shoe sole compounds that when they meet certain surfaces and a little bit of water, that the bottoms of your shoes go from super grip to zero friction. And that's what happened, is that my foot, as it's coming down, fully expecting solid ground to grip and push off of, my fucking foot hits the floor, and it goes zing right out from under me. And I'm at maximum fucking full tilt boogie. And all of a sudden, very quickly, the fucking parking lot is flying at my face. But even at that point, with just a couple of years of martial arts training and reps of dive rolling on a concrete floor with almost no padding, my this is a saying you hear in tactical and self-defense circles a lot, is my training kicked in, right? And my training kicked in, and just fucking automatic. I didn't even have time to think a thought. Literally, the thought in my mind was, the ground is coming at my face. My face. But my body knew what to do. Hands went out. Boom. Found the ground. Tuck. Roll. out of the roll, into a full run. And people are watching at this point. I had a fucking audience, you know? And so it's one of the most ninja things I had ever done in my life up to that point. Fucking roll, keep running. Ha, 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 ha. Didn't catch anybody, didn't see anybody, but I turned the lights back on. We finished our movie. Everything was good. Everything was super green. And my point being is we do reps so that our body knows what to do when the shit hits the fan. And we don't have to think about it. Your body just does it. Okay? So, as I mentioned earlier, if you have the benefit of nice mats or carpets to train on, you're going to think a little bit less about these hard bony points. And so, look microphone, see my the points of your elbows, right? Your wrist bones, your knuckle bones, your knees, your ankle bones. If you've ever fallen off your bike, you know, those plus the palms of your hands, because we startle, flinch, and push away danger. These are what take the brunt of the impact. And these are the places in our body that are the least well designed to take impact with an immovable object, with the ground. Now, they're great for movable objects, you know, like if you're in a fight, you can stick the point of your elbow right in somebody's fucking eye socket. It'll probably have a positive net gain for you, not so much for them. But when we're training, even if we have the benefit of nice mats or carpet or whatever, you may come away from it noticing when we're doing this kind of work that on those hard points, on those hard impact points, you might have a little bit of carpet burn, a little bit of rug burn, you know, that might be left over from whatever kinky hijinks you were into last night, you dirty, dirty birds. But I'm not going to judge you. Far be it from me. I'm no slut shamer. As long as it was consensual, I hope you had a good time. No. When we're training, you can go through these reps, and once you have a little bit of familiarity and you're starting to internalize the motion and not have to think about kind of all of these little rules I've told you to follow, then you can start to make it a little better. Oh, I lost another viewer again. Please come back. I love you. I miss you. We can be mindful of trying to interface with the ground. Looking at the microphone again. Interface with the ground with padding, with large muscle groups. See what I did there? Hey, you're back! Yay, thank you for coming back again. God damn it. You're a trooper. I would donate to your live stream if you were streaming right now. That's how much I care. And thank you for coming back. No, but we spoke earlier about large muscle groups wanting to let them do the work that they're built to do. And our large muscle groups are also really good padding. If you learn slowly with very precise intention, learn, not just learn, but build a relationship with the ground. You're the partner, your ground. It's a very good, very honest partner. And, you know, those of you who do any kind of partner-based work or play probably know can be hard, scheduling and whatnot, right? Like, hey, we have my D&D group. But and my polyamorous friends know, that scheduling is even more. We gotta have our Google calendars. Fuck, come back, come on. I hope that you're not leave. I hope that you're leaving just because your internet quality is bad, and not because my teaching quality is bad. I know I'm rambling a lot. I'm trying to keep it. I will try to keep it more concise in the future. Thank you for bearing with me. So, anyway, we want to learn to make a relationship with the ground. And that relationship with the ground, you're back, yay. That relationship with the ground should be one that causes the least amount of harm, right? That's what we should strive for in all of our relationships, unless they're training martial arts relationships. But even then, I want to always hurt but never injure. I want to cause pain, but I want to not cause harm. And no, there's a difference. So, without further ado, we'll doodly do the do. So, notice, see, look, I don't have to do one at a time. I can just go. Hey. Or. So, now, what do we do when we're here? Down here. Give me a little microphone. Sorry, I know you can probably hear it's probably loud as shit on the mic. Sorry. Thank you for bearing with me. I know microphone adjustments are loud and suck. So, I'm down here. What do I want to do? Well, quite simply, I want to transition to laying. I want to become even more friendly with the ground. But my hand's in the way. If I just go like this, I notice I'm loading this arm, which is great if I want to push off with it, but, it's kind of in my way. If I take it out of the way, I'm just going to go, and that's a bad impact. We're taking that right on that rotator cuff. It's not nice. At least, not in this moment. Now, I'm not saying you're never going to do that. I'm just saying right now we're not going to do that. What we want to look at here is how can I transition to my side and then to my back without banging or whacking any of these bony hard points on the ground. Good way to know if you're banging without having to wait 2 days for those carpet burns to really start hurting, is we want to move and listen. Listen to the sound that our movement is making. Listening will help you listen to your breath, and it'll also help you listen for impact, sound. We're trying to be ninjas here, and ninjas typically don't make a lot of noise. So I want to be quiet. Take your arm here, and there's a very natural motion that we all know how to do. You've done it a gajillion times. But we can also take something that we've done a gajillion times and do it better. Do it more mindfully, repping it out. So I'm feeling, we know from yoga, we want our rotator cuff to suck the end of the humerus bone up into the cuff socket we want to up, back, and down so that your shoulder girdle is in a nice biomechanically sound position. I will talk a little louder so you can hear me. But with our rotator cuff in this biomechanically sound position, we're just kind of looking at our palm, and then we're showing it to our friend. Looking at our palm, showing it to our friend. In, out. I'm bringing my elbow to my rib line, and just noticing the rotation in the forearm, because that's the biomechanical principle we're going to be using here. So if I'm down here and I want to transition to my side, I'm going to look at my palm. Now, when I place my arm on the ground, I don't want to lean in my elbow tip. Okay? Meat. Hopefully you have some meat here. And whatever your varying level of meatiness is, we're going to use this cushion here, not this point or this point, okay? So, I'm going to tuck in, turn a little bit so you can see here. I'm going to tuck that in, thinking kind of like I'm trying to bring my elbow all into my hip almost, but I'm down here, right? So, and then that gives me a nice padded cushion to then start to roll to my side. And I want to lay on my side. So again, not hitting here on the rotator cuff, on the big deltoid cushion, right there. And see how this leg is already lifting. So, right here, I want you to reverse push up. And as you go down, we're rolling into this tuck. And then we can lay easily on our side here. And then back up to your other side. Heart to your knee. Tuck. And then gently lay on your side. Notice already, this knee just naturally wants to pick up. That natural, this is kind of the engine. This is the engine of our movement right now. So you can see as it comes down, I'm rolling. I'm creating a little soft ramp here by tucking my arm. So heart to your knee, tuck here and create your ramp. Gently transition to your deltoid and onto your side. Now we're just here on our side. Now we're going to go back the way we came. So I can just lay this knee down. It's going to help me roll right up that ramp. I'm going to turn that hand to that assisted push-up position. And then I'm going to take my right hand, because I'm going to turn to my right. And I'm going to initiate that movement, start to reach behind me. I like to just bring my feet together into that butterfly position. That's me, but remember we can also do the straightened, or we can do the hinged position, but I like this butterfly just for me. Continue on around, and this left arm comes around, finds that push-up. Lower yourself gently down, tuck in, roll on your forearm muscle to your shoulder muscle. Gentle, gentle, gentle. If you're in a tactical or martial arts mindset here, you'll probably notice that this is a defensible position from the ground. And this is also the position we do a hip escape, a shrimp in jiu-jitsu. Okay? So again, just functionally connecting skill sets here. Heart to your knee. Tuck. Ramp to your side. And you can even like do a little look up, you know, from my years of tactical personal defense training. This was our hands at the ready position. If we're empty-handed or if we're holding a weapon, right? But again, tangential. You guys are not fighting anything but a mobility here. So letting the knee drop, giving me that ramp energy. Did you hear that? That hit the ground. That wasn't soft. Pushing up. Transition. Down. Tuck. Roll to your side. Okay? Again, I want you guys on your own for a minute. Just rep this out a few times. And then we'll get to the next piece. See that? Hip move, hip escape. Again, same mechanics. But instead of moving my feet, I move my hips instead. We'll push off the ground. Let you slide your hips. But notice again, I'm getting a little more martial here. I'm getting a little more, fight application rather than just life application. But hey, again, us chronically ill folks know every day is a battle. We gotta fight. All right, I am going to take care of bodily functions for a moment. I want you guys to please do reps. I will be right back. Hoop. And notice, hey, just a little sneak preview here. What am I doing? I'm interfacing with the ground. How do I get up? How do I get down? All right? You got to get up to get down. James Brown, is that James Brown said that? I bet you it was. So, next thing we're going to look at is continuing that motion all the way to your back. And again, what we're going to look for, good alignment of gut, heart, and mind. A core that is not squeezed tight, but that is also not just loose, lax, right? Nice, supple, springy in the middle. And try to minimize banging, whacking, loud. Listen for your impacts and listen for your breath, okay? And notice here in these points where if my knee's getting closer to me, she's probably pushing some air out, but there's a good place for air to come in, okay? So as I'm going down, it's a good place for air to go out, right? And as I come up, it's a good time for it to come in. Long, smooth breaths are ideal, but sometimes, especially if we're having to absorb a little bit of impact, a very distinct release of energy or release of air as you do so will soften that impact. We, when we were learning judo, jiu-jitsu, throws, when you break falls, when you hit the ground, you yell usually. You let out some kind of a oof and big noise, reminding you to breathe and making your body springy. Letting that impact kinetic energy travel through you and out rather than soaking in and causing damage. Okay? So, here we are again. Hey, and viewer number 2, whoever you are that's popping in and out, once again, fucking A, you're a goddamn trooper. Obviously, whatever your internet bullshit keeps pulling you away, really appreciate you coming back. Type who you are in the chat so I can at least know who I'm talking to, because I can't, I don't have good analytics yet. I don't know who I can just see what's going on. But please hit me up in the chat. I would really love to know who is actually watching me. So, heart kisses your knee. Tucking here. Then breathing out. Notice, for me, very little impact, right? But I still want to practice letting that air out, okay? And now this knee is already, it's naturally coming up. It wants to just take us to our back. If you have the core strength to just do a sit up here, or me, I'm lacking the sacral and lumbar mobility to do that without a lot of pain, but that felt good. That is neither here nor there. This is obviously a place where we can practice lots of stuff, but what we're going to do here now is from our back, go back the way we came. So we're going to let our knees just both fall to that side as I tuck in here, creating this nice round surface. And this is a round surface that's going to protect us from the crown, but you'll notice this is also a round surface that's going to protect you from, like, if somebody's trying to kick the shit out of you too. So from here, tuck. I let those knees just fall to the side, which is going to just tilt my pelvis to the side very naturally, bringing me to that side position that we practiced. Through, up to here, and then back to the middle. Then to the other side. Tuck. Breathe out as that shoulder touches, just practicing for impact. Let it continue to bring you to your back. Back the way you came. surroundings. Don't bonk your head on a kettlebell or, curb or hot lava or broken glass. That's a Ted Deadly Streets joke. A little bit of momentum. You guys see that? Once I'm familiar and comfortable with this action, and make it very smooth. Breath. Switching sides. This is a nice time. Check your spine. Make sure your lumbar has a little air under it. I don't want my lumbar to be laying on the ground. So if I roll my shoulders back and down, yoga style, tuck them back. Palms up. Just relax. If this is strenuous for you, take rest breaks often. I previously to my career as a prophet, previously I was able to do a lot more. I, as a CrossFit coach and athlete, I, at one point in my life, had a pretty ridiculous cardiovascular stamina and work capacity potential. So, but, these days, I have quite a bit less. So, I have to remember not to not shoot for where I used to be, but shoot for where I am now. So, last piece of this drill, okay, is very simple. It's very simply just, instead of stopping in the middle and going back the direction we came from, we're going to complete the cycle. We're going to create a flow drill, and that, for any cyclical action, this should kind of be the basis for your repping of these movements. Your goal is to create a continuous, nonstop flow of breath, kinetic energy, as well as psychological and emotional energy, as well as physical tension. Remember, we want selective tension. That means only using just the amount of work needed to get the job done. And, my personal principles, one of the premier tenets of what I teach and how I teach is the 3 E's. I say, if we can strive in all things, internal and external, to have the maximum possible efficacy, efficiency, and elegance, then we have the best chance, especially if we operate from that aligned heart, mind, and gut, have the best chance for right action, for making the best choice of the choices presented to us. So, efficacy, meaning we get the job done. And Efficacy can be reached in many cases through without efficiency and without elegance, just brute force. You can pick up a big, heavy wooden log and bash a woman over the head and drag her back to your cave. That's a caveman joke, not a rape joke. Rape's not okay. But I used to keep a stick next to my computer, and it was called the fixin' stick. And if you really need to fix something, you hit it with the fixin' stick. And but as I've grown older, I've learned that you cannot punch all of life's problems. You have to find not just efficacy, but efficiency. As we spoke on earlier, the using the least amount of effort necessary to get the job done. And then elegance. And elegance is that pinkies out, make it pretty, make it beautiful. Like I said, we as conscious creatures have the ability to recognize beauty, harmony, and move towards it. And another thing that Gene, one of the teachers who I learned much of this from, he said, moving beautifully is moving in harmony with the laws of nature. And that's, the laws of nature being the fundamental rules, the mathematical underpinnings of reality, right? And that's why before we ever knew the mathematics behind any of it, we had rhythm, we had music, we had rhythm, we had song, we had dance, and only thousands of years later were we able to understand that the musical notes, chords, and scales work to our ear because of the mathematical interaction of those different frequencies of sound wave. And so by trying to introduce an element of elegance into everything that we do, we move beautifully, we do the job beautifully, and I feel like that has a ripple effect on reality. The frequencies that we choose to resonate, those frequencies are going to be harmonious to some things and dissonant to other things. And so I try to go by feel and recognize my ability to feel that harmony, that beauty, and the more I notice, the more that I'm able to incorporate that beauty, that elegance into what I do. Then that's when the magic starts happening. That's when you can kind of like, one of my performers' maxims was, I meant to do that. And that's when the magic happens. You do things that you never learned or trained or even thought about doing. It happens. It just goes through you. And that's because you get out of the way, clean yourself internally, and create an open space for a download from the collective unconsciousness, from the Gaian supermind, as it were, and or inspirational clouds of inspiration that exist in four-dimensional space-time that we all collectively move through. That thousand monkeys concept where two scientists on opposite sides of the world will have the same breakthrough within days of each other, having never communicated and having never studied each other's work. Anyway, I digress. Flow, drill. We're going to flow this out, okay? So this is kind of going to be our final physical chunk. We're just going to try to flow together the different pieces that we have repped out today, and try as much as you can to clear your mind. Think as little as you need to keep these principles and these rules that we're trying to follow. Move softly, move efficiently, etc. And flow it together and create something that you can rep out, that it should feel good. And if you feel good, you're going to look good. Okay? So don't be afraid to find the momentum that's going to help you to get the job done. You'll notice from my jiu-jitsu training, I keep a rounded back because I keep a hollowed body, they would call it in gymnastics, because less contact patch with the ground, but if I create a more round structure to roll, and we as we've discussed already, this roundness creates softness. It creates protection. I got a really bony spine, but you learn to move from big muscle in your back to big muscle in your back without grinding your spine on the ground. It's real fucking important to learn to not grind your spine into the ground, to not grind your knees into the ground, your elbows, your ankles, etc. So we're just playing around with the different ways that we've learned today to transition from back laying to side laying to sitting. We can go through, if we want to play with crossing and uncrossing our legs here. I can also play with swinging my legs from side to side. And again, these are things that can become flow drills, strengthening exercises, and just fun, both biomechanically sound, useful, multi-contextually useful. Oh, Mr. Cab Calloway! Guys, say hi to Mr. Cab Calloway. He and Love Fluffy Man. Look at them, stupid. Look at them. There you go. Hit him up. Facebook.com/Mr. Cab Calloway. Or at Mr. Cab Calloway, MrCabCalloway. Just a shout out. There's my internet cat. So you guys will see, I have an obstacle here, right? So I have a choice. I can either move around the obstacle, or you guys are noticing, boop, remember I said that hip escape motion? Still hitting my head on shit though. This hip sliding, hip escape motion, if you need to reorient. But also, if I'm needing to keep somebody away from me and I'm knocked down, I'm down here, I want to know how to come up, tuck in here so that elbow's protected and not hitting the ground, boop, to that sitting defensive posture. Kicks here, boom, come to standing, but this is stuff for another time. And you guys see that time to avoid it? I do a little crunchy crunch, and also can roll through that forearm muscle to lift. I don't have to be down here super tucked. If I need to, I can frame here without putting my elbow or my palm down until I need to put my palm down, right? And I go through that natural rotation, meet to meet, right? Come meet our family and let us meet you. Come meet our family and let us meet you. Just going all the way around, all the way around, side to side. Go one way, go back. Try the different hinging. See, momentum helps here. Get a little swing going, right? Or slide to the butterfly, side to side. Or straight, straight, bend, bend. Straight, straight, bend, bend. Or just both straight. If you got a little bit of core strength, you can even play with here. Going boom and swinging your legs around. Boop, 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 boop. But that's for another time. So, I just want you to work on flowing from side to side and flowing that energy in a continuous circle in both directions. Breath, springy, soft, quietly. Your interaction with the ground should be relatively quiet. Not these, I'm making a lot of noise. Also, I got a fucking microphone here. But, and then in your day, start looking for times and places that these efficient, or I should say, these effective, efficient, and elegant movements can be incorporated into your movement patterns, your unconscious movement patterns. If you want to, you can start to think about, like I showed earlier, talked about a little bit, is think about using all the different ways available to us, playing with how to transition to your feet. So a good midway point is, can I go to my hands and knees? And you'll notice I'm leaning on this right hand. This left hand's pretty empty. So then this left leg can pretty easily, if I reach out with my left hand to find the ground, that momentum, that reach, that lean, it's gonna bring me right to my hands and knees. Put my butt to the camera, because I'm just so goddamn sexy. You guys see how the momentum generated by the movement can bring us to our hands and knees. Also, if you do know the sit-through body mechanic, where your opposite hand and opposite foot push into the ground, Mr. Cap Calloway, fluffy man. It lets us lift our hips a little bit, lets this leg be very empty and slide under us. And again, like I said, if our goal is to just stand up, or from ground to standing or standing to ground, that Just that little slide through. You can bring your knee to the ground if you want to go to here. Right? And this is a really good place to go to standing from. Over here. You can, if you have the upper body strength, core connection and coordination, to sit yourself through to the squat position, and then squat, stand up. The squat and the both ends of the squat, we do a lot of one end of the squat, right, standing up, but the other end of the squat is down here, sitting down, and in CrossFit circles was known as the paleo chair. If you have a squatty potty, you know about the natural. This is an extremely natural position for us. Toddlers sit in the squat position very naturally, and we should have as a goal the ability to chill here, to sit in this. I'm almost totally neutral here. Very little muscle. What's the word I'm looking for? Recruitment. I'm just letting the elasticity in the body and the skeleton do the grand majority of the work. Anything else I wanted to share? Quadrupedal movements. We all know that quadrupedal movements are beautiful. You should be doing your bear crawls. And again, this is functional stuff. If I'm here, then I can get to here, and I can get to here. Okay. I don't step on the damn mic stand. Stupid ass. All right. Still too loud. Okie doke. All right, that looks good. Okay, friends. Well, that, I would say, was a pretty decent live stream, if I do say so myself. Don't mean to pat myself on the back, but I will, because I can, because I'm hypermobile. If you were one of the two people who was consistently with me through this stream, my heart goes out to you. I just that alone, just that act of consuming my media, the knowledge that I know that you want me here so that you can be here, so that we can share this experience, and so that we can all grow. That's pay. That's fulfillment. Thank you, brain. You're doing a terrible job with vocabulary today. But really, 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 really thank you both, whomever you are, for joining me and then subsequently after the fact, I hope that you can take away, if you sit down and watch this video long enough, you can get to know me a little better, and you can get to know the ways that I have trained and used training as a way of life to stave off disability. You know, I was supposed to be in a wheelchair by 2006. So I don't math good. I don't know exactly how many years that it's been since I was supposed to be in a wheelchair. But clearly, as you can see, I'm not. But I've had to relearn to walk. I've had to teach myself to walk 3 times, you know, as an adult. When the first orthopedic spine specialist that I worked with, who actually gave me my diagnosis of a degenerative spinal condition, because, you know, all of my spinal discs are collapsing. Some of them are bulging. In my lower back, I have 2 bulging discs that bulge to the back, and then the vertebrae in the front, where the bones have rubbed together, they formed bone spurs that face forward, and it's L1 and L3, so there's a vertebra between the two, right? And so when I arch my lower back, it crushes those bulging discs, causes pain. When I hollow my lower back, it brings those. I saw the x-ray. They look like snake's fangs. It's really crazy. Like literally like a snake is biting at the tissues in front of my spinal column. You know, I also have bulges in my lumbar as well as my cervical spine. Both of those press on my spinal cord, causing pain as well as varying degrees of dysfunction. The uniform collapse of all of my spinal discs, which I've actually shrunk a full inch since I was, you know, at my peak adult height. I've shrunk a full inch in the last few years just from the degradation of my spinal discs. And I also have, accompanying that, a condition called stenosis. Spondylosis is the discs degenerating and collapsing, and then stenosis is the narrowing of both the spinal cord channel that the spinal cord travels through. So those holes are getting smaller, and then the tiny little holes in the vertebra, the peripheral nerves exit from the spinal cord and go out and do, you know, connect to your whole body. The holes that those travel out through are slowly being pinched and crushed, as well as, you know, you have nerves that travel through the disc space, which are being impinged and crushed slowly by the collapse of my spinal discs, my spondylosis. The conjunction of both of these things has it's an inevitability. There's nothing I can do about it. Ehlers-Danlos is a genetic defect, and there's no cure, there's no treatment. All I can do is try to just manage and compensate. And you know, it also causes the my stomach lining is trying to come detach from my stomach, which causes constant pain and nausea, which if I don't control it through eating and medication, it's gastritis that will evolve to gastroparesis, which means like my gut just says, fuck you, I'm not going to digest in food for a while. And, also I have my heart, my aorta is enlarged to within just about 2 millimeters of being considered a aneurysm. I believe aneurysm is the word. But I have a big, soft aorta, and it's continuing to grow and soften. My mitral valve is also damaged. Although since I've backed off of intensity training and have only been doing smooth training, that valve is actually repairing itself a little bit, which is really good news. But people with EDS, especially vascular VEDS, the number one cause of death is spontaneous aortic dissection, and that's exactly what it sounds like. Your heart just comes detached. Your aorta just goes. See, my fucking camera froze again. Fuck. I hope you can hear me. I don't know why it's doing that. It's really annoying. Sorry about that. I don't know. Goddamn technical difficulties, man. They never stop. But anyway, my maternal grandfather died mysteriously at age 53 of a spontaneous heart failure. So chances are that's what's going to kill me. Luckily, I have now that I'm known this for a few years, and I've been tracking it, getting regular scans and whatnot. I know that at least the level of degradation, or I should say the rate of degradation, is not so great that I should expect to die in the next few years, right? But I'm also guaranteed a shorter than natural lifespan. Now, of course, none of us are guaranteed any lifespan. If you've played D&D, sometimes rocks fall and everybody dies. But it is imperative of me, my MS is considered well controlled, but I've had to stop taking my MS therapy due to the pandemic because it immunomodulates, so it could make me more susceptible to infection, as well as I'm immunocompromised and I have a bad heart, right? So I really, really can't afford to get COVID. I lost my fucking train of thought. Thank you for bearing with me. So, bottom line, yeah, I'm fucked, but I'm not going anywhere. The only thing that can kill me is me. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep trying. I learned a long time ago, use it or lose it. I learned a long time ago that nothing in this life is guaranteed. And I've suffered so much loss, death, trauma, destruction. You got to live in the now. You got to live in the moment. You got to be here right now. Right here, right now. Fucking Bono. Get off my iPod. You got to be yourself as hard as you can. You got to grab life by the lips and yank as hard as you can. So, I have a lot of people who tell me that my ability to endure and keep trying is an inspiration for them to not give up, to keep trying. And that's fucking amazing. That makes me feel so good. At the same time, you guys out there, you help me to get out of bed every day, to grind through the pain, to keep trying to do what keeps me alive. And teaching and sharing has been both a passion of mine, an identity of mine, and as well as an area of study of mine, of something that I've put a lot of hours into studying the art of teaching, as well as never losing my white belt mind, that I always know that there's so much more for me to know. And so I keep learning. I try to keep training, keep moving my body, keep growing my mind. And since I don't have a dojo, since I can't be in physical space with you and grab you by the neck and choke the shit out of you, since since we're all here living through late stage capitalism and the related collapse therein, right? Stepping on the mic stand. I'm sorry if you could hear that. That's dumb. That's shitty. It's bad broadcasting. My point being, guys, is everything is always okay, no matter what. And the only difference is your personal perspective. There's a saying that I love at certain times in my life and I hate at other times in my life. And the saying goes, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. And when I'm not suffering, God damn, I preach that gospel. But when I am suffering, I don't want to hear that shit, right? Sometimes we just gotta fucking suffer, and sometimes we just gotta slog through. Sometimes we gotta just grind it out one footstep at a time, just day by day, my friend. And if you can't walk, then crawl. And if you can't crawl, then fucking wheel. Before I ever became disabled, I had my best friend in junior high. One of my best friends was a young blind man, and I spent a lot of time with him. And I have an empathetic brain, right? I try to put myself in other people's shoes and understand their experiences, so I spend a lot of time kind of pondering and even trying out, like, damn, what's it like to be blind? What's it take to be blind? My father being a quadriplegic, and my mother being his sole caretaker, or I should say, he only had one other caretaker, but it was not a medical caretaker. It was just one of his best friends who it became his job to work for us, to drive 3 hours each way, 4 days a week, to just hang out with my dad and be his hands, as they built race cars and Harleys and fucking machine guns and shit. But I as a young man spent many nights in bed before I fell asleep, trying as hard as I could to lay and not use any part of my body and just see what that experience was like. And it's strange to say I was fortunate to have a disabled father for 6 years. He adopted me when I was 10, and he died on my 16th birthday. But his death and his injury due to the negligence of a large corporation, meant that my family went from being lower middle class to having abundance, to having enough money to live and not needing to. My mom was able to be my dad's caretaker simply because she didn't have to have a job, and that money it's almost gone now, sadly. But that money is my sole form of financial support. I have a home due to being incorporated into my blended family of my partner Casey. So I have a home, I have food, I have insurance through her job. I have, I exist solely due to the kindness of others. And if you are someone who is not financially struggling right now, which I know a lot of us are, even those of us who physically have the capability to have jobs, don't have jobs. And so, if you don't have the personal abundance to support me financially, I'm not going to fucking be mad about it. I'm not going to, I work for free. I do this because, if I didn't do this, I would fucking die, honestly. I wouldn't have anything to live for. But backing up, clearly, my son is worth living for. My partner is worth living for. My blended family as well as my extended family are worth living for. My friends in my community who care about me are worth living for. Yes, all of that, true. But when you live life with a guaranteed variable level of suffering and dysfunction every day, guaranteed, and you never know what you're going to wake up to being able to do or not being able to do. My every single day, table cat, my every single day, is determined by, and I swear this will be the last thing, and then I'll let you go. I know I've talked a lot. The spoons theory. People out there, if you're familiar with the chronic health / mental health community, care community, You're probably familiar with the spoons theory, but I don't really like the spoons theory. It's not a clear metaphor. It's actually a really kind of a foggy metaphor, and a lot of times it takes more explaining than necessary to get someone to understand what you mean when you say, "I just didn't have the spoons today to do this." So my little tweak on it, because that's what I got to do, right? I don't. So far, I've only invented a couple of things. I invented the Cobra Dart, which is the best rope dart on earth. Go to ropedarts.com and purchase one. I don't make any money off of that. My good friend and brother Frank Hatsis hand makes those, but it's my creation, and it's widely regarded as the very best rope dart on earth. I invented that. That's cool. I named a rope dart move. Which it probably already existed, but I named it. That's the Emperor's New Pants. I've invented a couple of things, but mostly what I do is I try to take large amounts of information and distill it down into easily transmissible packets. Coded language. That's why I love lyricism, hip hop, and I'm just loaded with all of my little goofy sayings like "be yourself as hard as you can" or "reality is a weird place to live." So from me to you, I love you so much. Thank you for joining me. If you want to see your name scrolling along the bottom of the screen right here in this little thing, just stroke it. It's just like, oh fuck, it feels good. You could be on Team No Bones, and it's real easy. Just go over to mrnobones.com/support and choose your poison. I made it real easy. You can make a one-time donation. You can, but I would really love it if you signed up for my Patreon. And like I said, chances are you wouldn't notice $5 disappearing out of your pocket each month, but I really do notice, and it really helps me out. So just remember, organization is key to both life and revolution. Black Lives Matter. Fight the power. Love. Play. Ashe. Thank you very much.